So, this is the glorious return of NintyBuzz, and I'm Chris.
And I'm Leon. And shouldn't we technically be doing it the other way around, since I'm the founder of NintyBuzz and you're a lowly...
I'm a moblin.
Yes, you're a moblin. I'm joking.
I'm the guy who gets easily thwarted by Link.
Especially those from our warriors.
So easy, so easy.
Anyway, this is a brand new thingy, should I call it a thingy? Feature, let's say. Thingy sounds better, thingy sounds more professional, let's keep it as thingy. Anyway, this new thingy is called NintyTalk, and it's basically where we discuss crap about games, and mainly Nintendo stuff, but we'll talk about other things which are far less important. But before we start, obviously we've headed into a sort of revival. Basically, since February, I slightly gave up on NintyBuzz. I'm terribly sorry. I am a very bad person for doing so, and I deserve any sort of punishment you want to give me. Send me cuckoos, send me whatever. Anyway, yes, we are doing a bit of a revival, but we are dropping the news section, unfortunately. Basically, it's to help us get more momentum writing articles, because it can be very tedious to keep looking up news, and there's so many different news outlets for Nintendo, so we wouldn't be adding that much to it, let's say. I forgot what I was going to say then.
So, what Leon is getting at is, because essentially it is just him and myself, we'll cover news, but it won't be as frequent. It's very hard for people to find news all like the time. I still gotta work, I gotta go to school, and Leon's got big things going on. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm still looking for a job. Like, if you know anyone close to where I live who is hiring, please tell them I am a very hard worker and I will work for minimum wage. Keep that in mind.
He lives in England.
Don't tell them. I don't want some stalker. Anyway, we will be focusing more on reviews, features, competitions, giveaways, tournaments, all that jazz. It's still much better than news. And plus we get the much loved readers interaction as well. Anyway, let's start off with the discussion with Xenoblade X, because they recently had a Nintendo Direct the other day. It was more of a mini-direct, but who really cares? Anyway, I'll leave it to Chris to explain, because I am a bit of a bad boy and I didn't watch it.
And Leon's not that into RPGs, even though he's sitting there in a Zelda shirt. Shame.
Yes.
But
don't send hate mail, please.
So Xenoblade, ever since it started on the PlayStation with Xenogears and Xenosaga, I've been a big fan of it. So when Nintendo announced they bought up Monolith Soft, I was ecstatic. And then Xenoblade Chronicles came out, and that's one of my favorite games ever. I loved Xenoblade on Wii. It's an amazing game. If you guys have not played it yet, you guys are doing yourself a disservice. Xenoblade is fantastic. So with X, everything they and then Nintendo announced with X was amazing. It's massive, it's expansive, there's so much going on. And they explained it all of this in essentially an 8-minute trailer, which also kind of blew my mind. Xenoblade Chronicles X is a little different from the original Xenoblade. So, the way that the original Xenoblade worked is it was a pseudo-open world that followed a very linear storyline. The way that you explored the different areas of the Bionis, and the Bionis is the place where you explore, it's where Xenoblade Chronicles takes place, is it's done in different sections based on what part of the story you are on. The way that they explained X in the Direct is the second you hit the planet MIRA, it's completely open world. You can go anywhere, do anything, whatever your gaming heart desires, you can go and do. Now, take into consideration though, there will be level caps. So you can explore a new area, but it might not always be the best interest if, say, you're level 30 and you're running into monsters that are like level 70. You may not want to go into that area just yet. But knowing me, at least I'll be exploring everything I can and probably dying a lot because I went into an area with extremely high level monsters. But they explained a little bit on the story and as well. What they explained is the citizens of Earth got attacked and Earth is in shambles, so they had to colonize another planet. The planet they discovered was called MIRA, and the way that MIRA works is they colonized a section of the planet MIRA called New Los Angeles. That's essentially your hub world. That's where you go to get side quests, you do shopping, so on and so forth. It's a place to help you advance in the storyline, do side quests, so on and so forth. MIRA itself is pretty much an uncivilized outside of a few aliens and a lot of monsters. So I would assume one of the main focuses of that game is exploration. The size and the scope of Xenoblade X, and the fact that it's on the Wii and U of all consoles, is spectacular. The game itself is about 23 gigs on the 25 gig disc. And the fact that they can fit that on the Wii and U, again, it's incredible. I never thought the game to this size and scope could actually run on the Wii and U. And its graphics are...
Aren't there extra files which, if you've got the retail copy, you need to download extra files to
make
so
run
to
faster,
make it,
yes,
run more smoothly.
So on top of the 23 gigs on the disc, there's another 10 gigs you have to download. That's crazy. I kind of wish that...
an external hard drive then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 2 terabyte one, so I think I'll be safe.
You'll most definitely be safe with the 2 terabyte, but it's bigger than a Smash Bros, and Smash Bros has a lot of content and as well. And the fact that Xenoblade is even bigger than that has me ecstatic for in the game.
I'm excited because we don't really have many open world games on the Wii U. I think the only ones we have are like maybe you could count Watch Dogs, although not completely sure. I haven't tried the Wii U version of it, so
yeah,
I can't really
beat
say
it on
anything
PS4.
about it. I have played it on PS4 though, and I do. Even though it's got people are saying that it's not the greatest, I still liked it. I think it's mainly because I didn't buy into the hype as much. Like, I tend not to do that as much because then I appreciate the game more because, to be honest, what Nintendo released about Skyward Sword before it was released, I think that ruined the majority of the game for me because I got so hyped for it. I read out everything about Skyward Sword, and then when I came to play it, it's like I already knew quite a lot of stuff about it already, so there wasn't that much new to find out, if that makes sense. So from then on, I sort of decided, you know what, I'm not going to buy into hyping a game that much anymore. Though saying that, I am pretty hyped for Splatoon, but more about that later.
That's your hype of Skyward Sword is part of the reason why I ruined Twilight Princess for myself. I read everything about it. I heard it was going to be the Ocarina of Time we had been waiting for. Well, it definitely was in Ocarina of Time, except with a lame wolf transformation. And I wasn't a big fan of Twilight Princess. I ruined it for myself. It's not a bad game. I just don't like it. But
just don't tell people that you.
Yeah, especially online. I'm about to get slammed for saying I wasn't a fan of Twilight Princess.
Yeah. Just don't mention A Link to the Past either.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of A Link to the Past.
Oh,
and I'm gonna get slammed. But I am a big Zelda fan, and speaking of Zelda, I think we should move on to Zelda Wii and use delay.
I definitely know about this, so
which hurt really bad. I was very excited about Zelda.
Same here. It's like, from what I've seen, it looks absolutely amazing. Like pretty much most Zelda games, pretty much when you first see it, apart from maybe one or two. It's like I'm mainly thinking of the Philips CDI ones. We don't talk about these ones.
And the Wind Waker didn't get that good of reception when it was first shown, but I love the Wind Waker. That's one of my favorite games.
I think a lot of people changed their mind with not liking it when they first saw it, because once they got to play it, I think it got really good reviews quite a lot. Although obviously the Triforce quest was a bit cumbersome, but luckily they fixed it in the remake.
Yeah, I was not a fan of sailing in the GameCube version or the Triforce quest, but it was all rectified in the Wii and U version, and now it's one of my favorite games. But with them delaying Zelda, at first I thought it was because they ran into technical difficulties. It was too ambitious of the title, it was too big, and the Wii U couldn't handle it. With how big X is, and how expansive X is, I don't think that that's necessarily the case anymore. I think that Aonuma actually ran into new possibilities and for like the game. One of my biggest observations of all the trailers I've seen of Zelda Wii and U is it was empty, in the same way that Twilight Princess was. And that's one of my biggest issues with Twilight Princess, was how empty it was. it looks like, or it seems like Nintendo wants to rectify that, because they did a good job with a Link Between Worlds. They did a good job at making Skyward Sword feel dense. So I think that's part of what is driving Nintendo to push it back. At least that's my hope.
It's like I think there's possibly two different reasons for the delay. First of all, what you said, that hopefully there are some things which they didn't realise they could do before, which they can now do, and they want to try and make it the best Zelda game they can. My other thought is maybe they don't want either Xenoblade or Zelda to overshadow each other, because obviously if they come out around the same time within a certain amount of few months between each other, then that can cause some conflict, because maybe certain people will be more interested in Xenoblade, whereas other people will be more interested in Zelda, which could potentially affect the sales of both games. So it does sound like a smart technique to release them like far apart, so that way as many people as possible can purchase Xenoblade, and then as many people as possible can purchase Zelda Wii U.
I would think, yes, I kind of agree with that, but I think it's more the fact of if that is a factor, I think it would be Zelda overshadowing Xenoblade, and I'm not saying that Zelda is necessarily a better game, even though I personally enjoy the Zelda games more, but I feel that Nintendo could be possibly concerned that Zelda would completely overshadow Xenoblade because of its mass appeal. I feel that Xenoblade is going to be the game that takes Zelda's holiday slot, at least in the US. I don't know what Nintendo's going to do over in Japan for the holiday game, but I feel that if Zelda and Xenoblade came out in the same year, about 3 months apart from each other, where gamers like myself who enjoy both would gladly buy in both, I could see others being like, well, I've never played Xenoblade, it like looks interesting, but I've played Zelda, and I know that Zelda's a good game, so I'm going to go with Zelda. Look at when Watch Dogs came out around the same time as Smash Bros. And Smash Bros. Completely overshadowed Watch Dogs. Now, different circumstances. Yes, Watch Dogs already came out on PS4, the Xbox One, the 360, so on and so forth. But I could see a similar thing happening with Zelda and Xenoblade that happened with Watch Dogs and Smash Bros.
Well, weren't they also like worrying that because I can't remember now, it feels like such a long time ago, but didn't they think that there's going to be conflict between GTA and Watch Dogs, because originally weren't they supposed to come out around the same time, I think?
I think so. I think that one of them got pushed back as to not interfere with the other's launch.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to say it was Watch Dogs that got pushed back, but I'm not sure. That was so long ago. Well, actually, it wasn't that long.
It wasn't that long ago. It was only last year. No.
But like
year before,
in like gaming years, that was forever ago. That no one cares.
Like forever ago starts from like
Watch
6
Dogs.
months ago in the gaming world, doesn't it? Essentially. It's like, if it's more than 6 months old, it's like ancient.
It's like 8 years old at that point, if it's 6 months old. But I liked Watch Dogs, but what I want to see Nintendo can Nintendo do with Zelda. I personally, and this, I may get bashed online for saying this as well, but I thoroughly enjoyed Skyward Sword. It's one of my favorite games. Again, people on the internet do not bash me and say my taste in gaming sucks. We are like each entitled to our own opinions, and whoever says that's and whoever says that a Skyward Sword's motion controls were faulty, you played that game wrong.
Or you played with your batteries very low.
With everything Nintendo added with the Skyward Sword, with the emphasis on different characters, so on and so forth, how much life that Skyward Sword felt it had with its NPCs. I wanted to see Nintendo do more with a hub like a Skyloft in the new Zelda. Take Clocktown as an example of Majora's Mask. If they were to take Clocktown and mix that with a Skyloft of the Skyward Sword and the bustling Clocktown of Twilight Princess, except obviously not to have the people just walking past and you would not do anything like they did in Twilight Princess, but have it just as bustling with all the characters wanting to do something, give you side quests, talk to you, so on and so forth. That's what I want Nintendo to do with Zelda Wii and U. Skyward Sword and The Link Between Worlds were fantastic experiments as to what Skyward Sword has the potential to be. I feel that, or not Skyward Sword, I'm sorry, Zelda Wii and U. I feel that Zelda Wii and U has the potential to be the greatest Zelda game that was ever made if Nintendo can be smart and listen to the fan input on what has annoyed them about previous Zelda games. For the most part, every Zelda entry has been superb. It's been fantastic. Even though there are certain Zelda games I'm not the biggest fan of, it doesn't mean they're bad games. If Nintendo can take what players have said that have annoyed them about, say, the Wind Waker or Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword or A Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time, and build upon those complaints, you will have the best Zelda game that has ever came out. But it all depends on what Nintendo does.
I'm really hoping that they do take a lot from Majora's Mask, because personally Majora's Mask is probably one of my most favourite Zelda games.
That's my favorite game, period. I love Majora's Mask.
I don't know, because I think my most favourite game is one of the Metroid Prime games, which are all amazing. We need another Metroid Prime. So I really hope Retro are working on a new Metroid Prime. But like I was saying,
find out.
Huh?
We'll find out. I mean, Retro has been putting listings online about a graphic designer for an action adventure shooter type game. And that's what Metroid Prime was.
Maybe we will then. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, it's like I really enjoyed, like you were saying, about the interactivity with the NPCs, but I also liked that whole sort of that had that very dark atmosphere to it.
Yes.
So, that foreboding atmosphere, and in a way that's sort of drawed the relationships of the characters even closer, because it basically you could see how each character would also interact with each other as well in a way. So how a lot of characters are linked in some way to another.
linked some way. Oh, the puns. But
Puntastic.
I definitely want Nintendo to emphasize on a NPC relationships with Link. I want to see Link. I want to see another quest like the Kathy and Andrew quest, because that was superb.
That was just beautiful.
The way that it was executed, the feels behind that quest, it was amazing. And honestly, and to this day, I have never seen a video game tackle a side quest in the same way the Andrew and Kathy quest was tackled.
Definitely, but I'm going to stop there because we've talked quite a lot about that, and we've still got a few bits to do. So let's go on to, we shouldn't spend too much longer on this, the Mario Kart 8 DLC. You sold your Mario Kart, unfortunately, so you haven't witnessed either DLC pack, have you?
Nope, I want to use a Link, but I needed money because of the like monotony of life, so I had to sell Mario Kart.
You should definitely buy it again when you have the chance. Anyway, the Mario Kart 8 DLC, the latest pack was the Animal Crossing crossover pack. Animal crossover pack, I should call it. But yeah, it added obviously new car parts. It added 3 new characters. Well, 2 new characters and one I'm not sure if Dry Bowser has been in Mario Kart before, has he?
I never played the
Mario
one
Kart
on
Wii?
Wii.
I can't remember.
I played the one on Wii, and I have never played 7. I'm not the biggest Mario Kart fan. I'm more into games like Smash Bros. And Zelda and Xenoblade.
But it added obviously Dry Bowser. It also added Villager. You could play as either the male or the female villager, and it added Isabelle, who's the mayor assistant animal thing. Like, what sort of animal is she? I can never remember. Anyway, with the tracks that they added 8 new tracks. Well, 4 new tracks and 4 retro ones. Which I found they were all pretty interesting. I think my favourite one was the second F-Zero one. Oh, what was it? It was Big Blue. Big Blue, that's what it was. It was a really good track. It was sort of one of those 3-section track things. So, you know, like the Alpine Course track, the Nintendo 64 Rainbow Road, which I wish they left it as regular looping, because when it's split into 3 different sections with Rainbow Road, it just makes it so short, and I like spending a long time on Rainbow Road. It's like Rainbow Road, no matter what anyone says, I will always love Rainbow Road.
Rainbow Road sucks, and it has made me yell at a lot of my friends.
I love it.
It has ensued a lot of arguments and sweat, blood, and tears. I hate Rainbow Road. I hate Rainbow Road.
I love Rainbow Road. There's a song about it somewhere on YouTube. It's like I'll link to it in the description.
Oh, a link to it. Nintendo, Zelda, more puns. Okay, I'm done with the puns.
Anyway, it also added 200cc mode, which is a free DLC, or sort of free edition, more like to anyone who owns Mario Kart 8. It is pretty intense, I would say. You definitely need to learn, or at least in my case, you need to learn how to brake. Like, I didn't know how to brake properly when doing sharp corners. I just always drift, but you can't rely on drifting alone in Mario Kart 8. for those of you like me who do not know how to properly do it, you basically drift and then you brake at the same time as accelerating and drifting. It's like you get used to it after a while. I actually heard some people say that after playing 200cc for a while, that then made them absolutely bad at 150 and below, because obviously that made their natural timings all weirded out, because obviously they're used to going so fast around the different tracks, and then 150cc is then a lot slower. It's quite funny. However, I do enjoy Mario Kart 8. There are still some things which I think need to be improved on. More like one thing, and it's more like it doesn't necessarily need, but I think a lot of people would enjoy it if they did add these additions. First of all, battle modes. It's like, I know it's not the main mode of Mario Kart, but I've always loved battle mode in all the Mario Karts. Like, I love going to the Block City or Block Plaza battle modes, either as Bob-omb Blast or Shine Thief. And basically in Mario Kart 8, it's like battle mode is okay, but just you don't get as much fun with it, I'd say. It's just a regular balloon battle, and there isn't any specific battle mode stages. It's just a selection of I think it's either 6 or 8 regular stages looped around, and you just go around.
It's all of the stage.
No,
Stages.
it's a selection of stages. I was playing it the other day.
What?
And it just sort of ruins battle mode a bit. Like, I wouldn't mind if they added some DLC to sort of enhance battle modes. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing a return of some of the modes from the double dash battle mode, because personally I think that was my favourite battle mode from Mario Kart. I'd say, like with Shine Thief and stuff. Also, another thing which generally isn't required, but I think a lot of people miss, is the missions mode as well. Like Mario Kart DS introduced, and Mario Kart Wii had it to a certain extent. I think that was a really good addition, if I'm honest, because it gave you that breath of fresh air. If you're racing too much, then you could do some extra bits which weren't as much racing, but it was complete a certain objective, and I think that is good for single player. Like, do you remember that at all? Yes.
I have not played Mario Kart Wii more than about 30 minutes of it, and I've never played D and DS. Again, I've never really been that into Mario Kart. I had 64, I had the one on Super Nintendo, and I had Double Dash, and I liked them, but after Double Dash I kind of started to become ambivalent towards Mario Kart, but I got 8 just to kind of support Nintendo and try and I wanted a free game. That's why I did it. I wanted Pikmin for a free. So that's why I bought Mario Kart, was for Pikmin.
Fair enough. Actually, one game which I definitely really hope they make a game like it again was Diddy Kong Racing. Did you play that on the Nintendo 64?
Yes. That's actually one of the only racing games I'll willingly play, because it has a very engrossing single-player mode. Like,
it was just like,
really enjoyed Diddy Kong Racing. I was always Banjo.
I swear it's probably the most unique racing game that there is, and that's kind of worrying since, well, maybe not the most.
No, it definitely is one of the most engrossing racing games I have ever played. Again,
it's not even a proper racing game, is it?
Yeah, it's more like a adventure game with like racing aspects to it.
It's sort of like if you cross, I don't know, Super Mario 60
Kazooie with Mario Kart.
Or Banjo-Kazooie with Forza Motorsport, basically. But not nuts and bolts. We never mentioned nuts and bolts.
Nuts and bolts.
So to be honest, I'd say it was a good game, but not for the Banjo IP, but that's a completely different discussion altogether.
Blasphemy. Nuts and bolts sucks. It ruined Banjo-Kazooie. But, I definitely would like to see some more DLC in Mario Kart. I feel that Nintendo could go one of two ways with the DLC. Either they completely just stop it, and any new DLC winds up in the new Mario Kart game for the NX whenever that comes out, or they'll just keep supporting it throughout the Wii U's life cycle.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be a good idea to sort of release like maybe a new DLC patch like every 6 months or so, just to keep the game fresh, keep people interested in Mario Kart 8 until they get to the... Go on.
My biggest concern with that, though, is what happens when they run out of ideas for the next Mario Kart. That's my concern with it with Smash Bros. As well. But I feel that Smash gets kind of a reprieve, because all Nintendo would have to do is update the graphics with Smash, and that's going to sell, no matter what. Mario Kart
didn't they say Smash Bros for Wii U and 3DS might be the last one Sakurai works on?
He said that ever since Melee.
Yeah, he says it every single time, doesn't he?
Yeah, so
he just wants to tease us.
I'll believe it when I see it. If like Sakurai was done, he wouldn't be doing the DLC now, because he's the one who's overseeing and all of it. He's the one who's making the tweaks, so on and so forth. So Sakurai
thing, though, doesn't he? I think.
I don't know how a shoulder thing can affect typing on a freaking keyboard all day, but whatever. Sure.
Actually, it does, because you actually get it from like using a computer a lot. Like
really?
Yeah, if you sit down on the keyboard too much, you don't notice it, but obviously with all the muscle or nerves, or I need to pay more attention in biology, but basically it sounds like repetitive strain injuries, so you don't notice it, but everything is working, even like when you move your fingers, like everything up your arm is working to move those fingers, so think about it, if you're doing that constantly all the time, then that can strain your shoulder.
It would be like a tendinitis thing then?
Something like that, I'd
okay.
guess. But I think this is a good chance to get onto the Smash Brothers DLC, because obviously this is another first time for DLC in the Smash Brothers universe, isn't it?
And Mewtwo is amazing. He's became one of my mains rather quickly. Out of like myself and Leon, I'm the bigger Smash player. Like here, I beat his ass all the time in Smash Bros. It's awesome. It's glorious.
I cry like a little baby every time you kill me, or every time it's like I've gone to resort to playing as Zero Suit Samus and committing self-destruct, basically.
It's a mass suicide type and deal. Again, myself and Leon are big Zelda fans, and like I use a Link in Smash Bros. And one of our matches, Leon texted me and was like, yeah, I like hate Link now. And I was like, yes! I won! I succeeded! I made a Zelda fan hate Link!
I'm sure you do that quite a lot.
Yeah.
Especially on 3DS Buzz.
Yeah. It happens. But, and the way that they implemented Mewtwo into a Smash Bros, it's glorious. I am very ecstatic too and see exactly what Nintendo is going to do after like Lucas. I want to see Nintendo turn in Smash Bros into instead of instead of a game being all about Nintendos and All-Stars, I wanted to branch off to include every video game and franchise and be a celebration of video games. And I think that Smash Bros is like the one game that could actually do that. It could pull characters from a Street Fighter. It could pull characters from a Final Fantasy. It could pull hell. And Phil Spencer said he would be happy with a Banjo-Kazooie going in there. Nintendo, I don't see them doing this, but Nintendo could approach and Sony about like Nathan Drake going into Smash Bros. They could approach Microsoft about Master Chief going into Smash Bros.
With Sony, I think that would only work if Sony didn't bring out another All-Stars Battle Royale game. Like,
I'm pretty sure that All-Stars got written off pretty quickly as a Smash Bros. And rip-off.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's a bit of a shame because I did think it did have some good aspects to it, but I just didn't have that right feeling for it, if that makes sense. It's like,
I feel that...
It didn't have that innovation.
Yes, I feel that it felt too much like Smash. And now that's what held a PlayStation All-Stars back.
It still looked beautiful though, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I played PlayStation All-Stars. I was pretty good with Dante. And was it Raiden who was an All-Stars because Snake went into Smash Bros?
I have no idea. I can't remember. I think I sold it ages ago.
I want to say they put Raiden from Metal Gear into All-Stars because Snake was in Smash Bros at the time. I was pretty good with Raiden as well, and again, I liked All-Stars, but it felt too much like a Smash Bros clone for like it to actually give it its own identity. But when like hasn't Sony copied Nintendo and took their idea and as their own. Don't mean to sound like a fanboy, but it's kind of the truth. Sony has been copying Nintendo ever since the 90s.
Do you think it's because of Nintendo didn't agree to the deal that they had because back with the Nintendo
that's exactly it. Sony felt shamed when Nintendo cut negotiations for at the time what was the Nintendo PlayStation, and Sony took all their concepts, all their designs, and built their own console, and it's kind of bitten in Nintendo in the backside. And
like, don't get me wrong though, because there are some things which Sony have done which I absolutely love. Like, I have good memories of the original Spyro trilogy. I loved those Spyro games on the PS1.
You're not a big an RPG guy, but one of them the draws to when the Sony consoles, and for myself has always been the RPGs, whether it be Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Legend of the Dragoon, so on and so forth, Shadow of the Colossus, the Tales and series. Even though Symphonia came out on GameCube and Dawn of the New World came out on Wii, for the most part the Tales series has been predominantly a Sony deal. Oh, and Vesperia on 360. Vesperia was amazing, and you need to play that, Leon, but
I still need to play Ni no Kuni and The Wrath of the White Witch. And
you still haven't played Ni no Kuni yet?
And I got it for free like ages ago with PS Plus, but I just haven't had the chance to boot it up yet. I need to do it. I'm going to do it over the summer.
That's a game like a Xenoblade, to where you gotta play that game.
Yeah. It's like I want to play it because it's got the Studio Ghibli name to it as well, because I love the Studio Ghibli films, so...
Isn't Zelda's art direction in the new one based off of Studio Ghibli? Isn't that what Aoyama said?
Generalized anime art style, but though we are on the subject of Studio Ghibli, it's like
Princess Mononoke.
I love that film. Really. I recommend everyone to watch it. Seriously.
With the way now, to get back on topic, with a Smash Bros, I really want to see Nintendo and turn this into a celebration of video games, as a way to celebrate the characters who have kept Nintendo and video games and as a whole and going. I would love to see Cloud in Smash Bros. For the simple fact to beat the hell out of Cloud with like Link off of personal bias fanboy stuff. But that's beside the point. I would still love to see Cloud in Smash Bros. I would love to see Spyro. I would love to see Nathan Drake. I just want to see Nintendo be able to turn this into something even greater than what it already is.
But yeah, is there anything else about Smash that... Oh yeah, one thing which I do like, which Nintendo are doing, is with... Oh, stop saying that, you're gonna disconnect! Ah! It's got that weird error thing that the connection with the Wii console is unstable. Is it gonna explode? It's not gonna be like Chernobyl, is it? Anyway, one thing which I like that Nintendo are doing is with the Smash Brothers Fighter ballot. Like, I think that's a really good way to sort of get the fans involved. Even though, like, only a few characters will probably be chosen from the ballot, it's still good to know that Nintendo are definitely listening to us to some extent. Anyway, shall we quickly talk about Project Ukulele, which was announced a couple months ago? Because I'm obviously a big fan of Banjo-Kazooie, and I bet you probably are as well.
Banjo-Kazooie is one of my favorite platformers. I love that game.
Yeah.
It's one of... I don't know why they went with nuts and bolts over what Banjo-Kazooie originally was, but yeah, I love Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, and Project Ukulele looks like it's going to be a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, and that has me extra excited, especially because a lot of the developers and Grant Kirkhope.
Yeah, that's it. And is David Wise also doing some music as well, or is it other people? It's like,
I want to say it's Grant Kirk go?
Yeah,
Who's doing
Grant Kirkhope is definitely on board with Project Ukulele. In fact, he recently posted a tweet of a picture of him purchasing a ukulele. But yeah, so even though they haven't said much about Project Ukulele, it's like they released some screenshots not too long ago, and they look really good considering they just started developing it. It's like, you saw the screenshots, didn't you? What were your opinions on them?
It looked like an HD Banjo-Kazooie. It looked like a similar world. The cavern in screenshots looked like something I would have seen if Clanker's Cavern was in HD. I'm very ecstatic. Very ecstatic.
One thing which I think is good is they emphasise that they definitely want to listen to the fans with what they want in Project Ukulele. It's like, I think that is definitely a really good thing, because obviously a lot of fans probably felt a bit abandoned with nuts and bolts, because it was something that they're not used to, that they weren't expecting, and that they weren't listened to, that they want a new banjo, if that makes sense at all. Obviously they need to be careful that they don't listen. They need to be careful that they don't listen too much to the fans, but because obviously something.
I feel that you play tonic and listening to when the fan can only be a good thing. The fans are like who know best of what should be in that game. We played Collectathon and Platformers for so long that we know what to expect. We know what will make them tick, what will make them work, what works and what does. And I swear to God, if there is another slide like and there is in Donkey Kong and 6 and D4, play a tonic, and if and you guys by any chance happen to see this, no freaking slides. Slides suck. They sucked in Mario, they suck in Donkey Kong. I don't want another slide.
I don't want Crazy Kong Clamor either, because that was the most annoying mini game. It was basically luck, because you had to shoot melons at the golden banana, but make sure you didn't hit any of the different members of the Kong family, and the banana would change position every time the lights go out and turn back on. It was okay for like the first two versions, but then later on in the game it got frantic where you didn't have enough time to change where you were going to shoot, so it was literally either have to guess it or you'd have to be really quick at flicking the control stick and pressing A. It just got really...
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of those mini games in myself.
Though some of the mini games were fun, like I loved the one where you were in the maze and you had to find your way to the other side without being seen by the gremlins. I also liked the minecart levels as well, where you had to go on the minecart and collect all the coins, but make sure to avoid all the obstacles. Even though they were really difficult, it was great fun, I thought. And it was good because it provided that challenge. Like, I think one thing a lot of games don't have anymore is that good challenge, because I remember in the N64 days I still have great difficulty with getting certain objectives, but it's good because it brings you back to the game to try and perfect your play, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel that the last good platformer collectathon and type game was Super Mario Galaxy 2, and ever since that game, like that, and now that, and was flawless. I love that game, and I feel that if Platonic would or if they choose to take a page out of Mario Galaxy's book, with the way that was set up, that would be a good route as well.
One thing which I like is that collectathons are definitely coming back in style, because obviously you've got indie developers doing games like Hat in Time and Lobo Destroyer, and also Project Ukulele, which is great. Like, one thing which I really hope is that Nintendo makes another proper collectathon, because it's been a while since Mario Galaxy 2. Was that 2009? I'd like to say 2010, and we're in 2015 now, so I really hope that Nintendo don't, like, even though I love those games, I really don't hope that Nintendo make 3D Land and 3D World the sort of norms for their new 3D Mario games. I really hope they go back to like Mario 64, Galaxy, Sunshine, etc.
Yeah, I do as well. I don't know why Nintendo went in with the 3D World on the Wii and U. I wasn't a big fan of 3D World after playing Mario Galaxy 2. I was not a fan of 3D World. I wasn't a fan of like a 3D Land either. I actually got bashed a little bit on the forum you and I would go on for saying I didn't like 3D World.
I quite enjoyed it.
I felt that it was short. It didn't offer the play ability that like the other Mario games did. I did everything in like a 3D Land. All the extra levels, unlocking Luigi, so on and so forth, in 8 hours. On the first day I got the game. And I was like, what? This is... Nintendo sold me this at the $40 price point? This is terrible. I paid $40 for a 8-hour game. That's horrible.
Anyway, that is all the time we have for at the moment. So before we go, is there anything? It's like before we go, one thing over at 3DS Buzz. We are hosting a little Splatoon tournament which is happening in June, so if you are pre-ordering or thinking about pre-ordering and it may be worth applying to compete. It should be a great bit of fun, and if I can I will sort out like little prizes, but if not, it's still a great deal of fun. So I think that's it for now. So I'm Leon from NintyBuzz, and
I'm Chris.
And see you later. There is one more thing we do have to announce though. Obviously with Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS doing the whole DLC jumbo now, we thought to come up with a little competition, a fan concept competition, where you, the reader, can come up with your own character package, let's say. So basically all you have to do is think up of your own character from any game series and basically say why you want that character in Smash Brothers. Also come up with your own moveset.
And no Banjo-Kazooie, that's too obvious. No Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, also you have to come up with your own moveset as well as the sort of appropriate stage for that character as well. And best of all, the best entry will win one of these. And yes, it's an amiibo. It's an amiibo of your choice from Game Retail Limited in the UK. It does do international shipping. Luckily it's very cheap, so don't worry about it. Just make sure that the amiibo is in stock and it's not one of those bloody limited availability ones.
Like Shulk?
Or Greninja, or Rosalina. Because
I'm not spending like $80 on Shulk and Villager guys, so let's keep it kinda cheap.
yes. So find out more information on how to submit your application and also some of our guidelines at nintybuzz.com, and go to the relevant article, which I should link it to the win tab at the top, so it should be easy to find. Anyway, now this is the final goodbye for today, and hopefully we shall see you in the future. Like, I don't know when to schedule these, but I think we'll have another one when Splatoon is released. So, see you later.
See ya.